Hello, everyone. Today I will be sharing with you a story about John Antico and his team. The story goes this way. Once there was a man who owned a video company, and he was approached by another individual to have him go into a partnership with him. And this individual, which I mentioned his name, was John. He was the CEO of Blockbuster, of Blockbuster. And at that time, it was about a videography. It was about a video cassettes. And when Netflix was coming on board, the CEO of Netflix, Reed Hastings, went to him and asked him to join the partnership. And he refused. And the reason why, and because he refused, he after a couple of years later, because of the change in the environment, he fell to debt. Because what happens, the owner of Netflix at the time saw the change in the environment, and they saw that a cassettes would be obsolete in some sense. And he couldn't see that. He didn't have the eyes to, or the projection and the ability to see the change in the environment to make sure that he was making the right decision. And the reason why I am telling you this story, and there's a point into this story, is because right now there is a shift happening in our world. There's a shift happening in our environment. And that shift is so widely known and accepted, but at some level, it's difficult to have persons to see that. And I normally speak to some of my friends about the idea called the fourth industrial revolution. And it's hard. It's not hard, but they don't know, they don't understand what this means. And it's always that story for us, especially in the Caribbean, that the wider changes happened out in the global sphere, and it's difficult for us to understand or even see what is happening so that we could make the necessary decisions and to strategically place ourselves in the necessary places for us to benefit from that change. And this is why we started our company called Apex Strategy 4.0. It's a consultancy firm for the fourth industrial revolution. And I say that to persons, we have business, we work very well internationally. We have a business partner in Pakistan. It's a software development company. We have business partner in Trinidad, and it's few to get some persons that could see the changes in the environment. But to be able to get persons to understand what is happening, what is coming, it is difficult to get that happen. It is difficult to have them to see it. And why is this story relevant to our time? Why is this story important? Because individual change is very, very difficult. People don't like the idea of change. But when the environment is changing and the culture is changing and a lot is being changed in the political world, a lot is being changed in the economic world, a lot is being changed, especially in the religious world. You have persons who find it difficult to move, difficult to adapt to the change. And that's what human beings have. We have the ability to adapt. We have the ability to accept change and move on. So because of this difficulty that I find that persons, and that's where the opportunity came to me. I normally do my podcast, Kevin Marfer podcast, but this is a podcast for explaining some of the global ideas that will be affecting the region and that will be affecting us as a national, as a nation, and that will be affecting us individually. So that's what we're going to do. It's called Apex Content, and I would like this video to be, or this recording to be below 10 minutes. This is the introductory part of it. And we're going to continue to have one episode every week to explain things like the knowledge economy, things like that. Today we will be discussing the fourth industrial revolution, but as we move forward, we are going to be discussing the ideas on the global level and how this is sifting down to the regional policies and how it's going to affect us individually. Well, let's start off the mission. Away we go.
The fourth industrial revolution will impact our lives completely. signifies that data is the fuel that is propelling the fourth industrial revolution.
And now I think we're in the next kind of big shift towards a knowledge economy.
The first bold step by the Buhari administration is to establish the NDEPS, that is the National Digital Economic Policy and Strategy, in November 2015.
I read this book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution by Klaus Schwab, the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. It was back in 2019. Back in 2019, when I was publishing my initial book, my first book, Purpose Driven, The Meaning of Life is Found in the Purpose to Live. I read this book, and this book was written in 2017. And I've been reading this book ever since. And when I read this book and I look outside the pages, I see what's happening globally around the world, especially in our regional policies and our national policies. You could almost predict, based on the thinking and evidence in this book, what is happening and how we are adopting the ideas that is written, that is well articulated by the author of this book, which is Klaus Schwab. And he is the founder of the World Economic Forum. I think he has already become a household name. We're not going to speak on the individual. We're going to speak on the ideas that we are proposing, because sometimes we tend to speak deeply and about the individual and ignoring the ideas that they're proposing when the ideas are already implemented in our policy, in our way of life. And we're attacking the messenger, but we're acting out the policies that the messenger brought to us. And I would like to just shed some light on this idea, the fourth industrial revolution. And the reason why I'm bringing it out is when I speak to persons about the fourth industrial revolution and the changes that is being occurred, that is happening with us on that level, they tend to be lost. Persons tend to tell me, well, you read those books and those things don't happen in the Caribbean. Those things are things that happen all the way in America. Those things don't sink down to the Caribbean. And I'm a bit sensitive to that kind of reasoning, especially when it comes to friends or family members. And as much as I try to educate, or try not educate, but to shed light on how those ideas are very influential, then and that's what I'm using this opportunity to do. And I hope we go ahead and do it well. So the ideas that we are bringing forth right now, how to navigate the fourth industrial revolution. And we are going to take a strategic approach, right? We're going to speak about it on the global level, and then we are going to bring it down to the regional level, the policies in some sense, so to speak, and then we are going to bring it down to how it is implemented within the Caribbean and in the different countries of the Caribbean. So there are central themes that brought this idea of the fourth industrial revolution. And to know the fourth industrial revolution and how to navigate the fourth industrial revolution, we must know what the industrial revolution entails. And National Geographic educational page explained the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution I read was the transition from creating goods by hand to using machines. Its start and end are widely debated by scholars, but the period generally spanned from about 1760 to 1840. According to some, this turning point in history is responsible for increase in population and increase in the standard of living and the emergence of capitalist economies. So this is basically the Industrial Revolution is what human beings are always tool yielding creatures, you can call them that. We always have tools and we always try to make work better. And to make work better is to come up with different technology. And one of the misconceptions that we have about technology, we mistake technology for digital technology. the definition for technology is anything that can make work easier. So back then we came up with a knife, we came up with a stone. And when we do it on a collective level, that we invent something that can make work easier collectively across time, across cultures, across nations, this is cause a revolution. This revolution affects our political area. It affects our economic area. It affects our social area, our culture area, our way of life is being affected. And that's one of the things that happened with the printing press in the Renaissance era as well. The shift in being able to disseminate information and content worldwide was shifted the way of thinking, the way of behaving, the way of acting, and that's what is happening with us right now, the shift in the Industrial Revolution. And here is a video about the fourth industrial revolution that was created by the World Economic Forum, not just trying to bring the awareness to individuals because they cannot do it alone, and they would like other persons to develop the consciousness of the fourth industrial revolution and how important it is. So as the video plays, I'm going to narrate it to the degree that I can, because it didn't have a voiceover. It only had written words, and I'm going to narrate it as I go ahead. The fourth industrial revolution, the World Economic Forum, will bring change at a speed, scale, and force unlike we've ever seen before. It will affect the essence of our human experience, and they're discussing the first industrial revolution, the time span, and what it encompassed. The second industrial revolution was mass production for the assembly lines and electrification, and the time span of that revolution. The third industrial revolution, as they explained, was mainframe computers, personal computing, and the internet. And right now, which is today, the radical systems, well, the change in the industrial revolution is basically the interplay between fields like nanotech, brain research, 3D printing, mobile networks, and computing. It will change the world as we know it. And that's what is already happening. Access to technology has already spread like wildfire. The fourth industrial revolution, as I quote the book by Carl Schwab, well, he said that the fourth industrial revolution is basically defined by the interplay of the merging of the physical world, the digital world, and the biological world. So computing power, technology would be able to get under our skin. We would be able to have technology, brain chips, and all of those things. And this sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it's not a conspiracy theory when you see Elon Musk is doing this, because he understands. Elon Musk is basically a businessman. Elon Musk is neither one side or the other. He is a businessman, and he knows how to play the market. He understands what is coming. Just like Jeff Bezos, who understood that the internet would have exploded 200% based on the data that he received, the time that he was receiving that data, and he strategically placed himself in a position to benefit from that. And that's the kind of awareness and thinking I'm trying to develop for our Caribbean people, to be able to understand, to see, and to be able to position yourself. No, keep your eyes open, be conscious of the changes, and persons will look at this as a negative way to think, but you have no choice but to select either understanding or ignorance. Which one is your best bet? And you better to save yourself, save your life, so to speak, or save your soul, so to speak, if you know what's coming. If you don't know what's coming, how would you know what to prepare for? Like Sun Tzu said, if you're in a battle and you know yourself and you know your enemy, one loss for you, one win for your enemy. But if you know your enemy, and you don't know yourself, it's a lose-win situation. So you need to know what the environment is doing. You need to know what is coming so that we could probably strategically place ourselves, especially as a Caribbean people. So look at what Elon Musk is doing, as he is already placing brain chips in the mind, or the brain chips into people, the chips into people's brain, because he understands what the fourth industrial revolution is, and he's already acting on it. But I'm not saying that we have the ability to do that, to go to the far lengths of doing that, but to actually understand what's coming. to actually understand the ideologies and the things that comes with that and the business opportunities without selling your soul in some sense, so to speak. Now, listen to what's being done.
This morning, Elon Musk announcing that for the first time, his company Neuralink has implanted a brain chip in a human. Musk saying the person is recovering well. Initial results show promising neuron spike detection. Neuralink's goal is to help paralysis patients communicate by connecting their brain to a computer.
The device is designed to interpret your neural activity so you can operate a computer or a smartphone by simply thinking.
And that's some people can view that as a positive achievement, and some persons can say it might be a negative achievement. Well, I'm not here to give a moral view on the achievement of. I'm just here to explain what is happening, and we have to place ourselves strategically. And based on what I said earlier, it was taken from page 7, The Fourth Industrial Revolution by Carl Schwab. He said, it is the fusion of these technologies and the interplay across the physical, digital, and biological domains that make the Fourth Industrial Revolution fundamentally different from the previous revolutions. And this is the author of the book and the founder of the World Economic Forum. And on the page, you could see the mission of the World Economic Forum is, as they explained, the World Economic Forum is the international organization for public-private company. In a world marked by complex changes, they are agreeing that there are changes within the world, the complex changes. The World Economic Forum engages political, they engage political, business, academic, civil society, and other leaders of society to shape global, regional, and industry agendas. So that's how far-reaching the influence is. And this book is as far-reaching on a global stage, number one, as you could see here. And it engages, not just affects, it engages political, business, academic, and civil society and other leaders of societies to shape global, regional, industry agenda. And reading further, at the heart of our mission of improving the state of the world lies the belief in the power of human ingenuity, entrepreneurship, innovation, and cooperation. We realize the need for fostering rigorous and respectful dialogue between and among leaders with different beliefs and viewpoints, where diversity of thought is respected and all voices can be heard. So he is basically reaching out to everybody in question. And it's not like I've tried to make persons around me understand. It's not something that's happening up in space, so to speak. It's right there on the ground. It's already influencing. It's already being activated within our nations. It's already affecting us. It's already gotten to our political sphere, our social sphere, and that's what we're going to show, how the influence is being channeled down from at that level to the World Economic Forum. And when it's channeled down to the World Economic Forum, the World Economic Forum has a partnership. Well, as we can see on their page again, we show that the World Economic Forum and the UN signed strategic partnership. And the strategic partnership, it's written that the UN Forum partnership was signed in the meeting at the United Nations headquarters between the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and the World Economic Forum founder and executive chairman Carl Schwab to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And so you have the World Economic Forum, and he has a strategic partnership with the United Nations to push forth the idea or the ideas that he established in his book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, to be able, and his argument in some sense is that these ideas they are more sustainable. They're able to fight against climate change, and they're able to help the environment. Because when you merge the biological world with the digital world and the physical world, a lot of things can be done at a smaller cost to the environment and a lesser cost to human beings. And that's the strategic partnership. So at the top, you have the World Economic Forum, just as a easy picture to look at. And then you have a strategic partnership with the United Nations. And we know a lot about the United Nations because the United Nations have the 17th Sustainable Development Goal. And you could see the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States we have already adopted those goals, and those goals are being implemented within our policies. Here we are, we can see Didikers Drews, the Director General of OECS, explaining this exact thing.
It has often been said that data is the new oil, a metaphor that signifies that data is the fuel that is propelling the fourth industrial revolution. In much the same way that oil powered the industrial age, data is fueling the information age.
That we understand that the fourth industrial revolution is not a pigment of anybody's imagination. We understand it's on its way. We understand that it's here. But if it's here, if it's on its way, if it affects the policy and the policy guides our environment, then we need to become persons to be able to participate in the fourth industrial revolution. And what does that mean for us as human beings? Well, we need to be re-educated, and the future of work will be different. The future of work will be different. The work that's, I read an article recently, I can't remember, and they said that the work that we will be doing now is going to be significantly different than the work that will be done, let's say 10 to 15 years down the line. And again, as you see the website again of the World Economic Forum, the top skills of 2023, they said it's analytical thinking. So the work now, it's not that the skills that's required for the fourth industrial revolution, it's not so that you grounded so much in something physical. Back then, when the other revolutions, you could have been something, you could have had one set of skills, and this could sustain your life for at least 20 to 40 years. But because of the constantly rapid shift and change in the ability of technology, the ability of digital technology to be able to merge the physical world and the digital world, sometimes we are already building machines that can self-checking machines. We can already building machines that are building houses. We're already building machines that are doing all those things. And the idea is that if you are to survive in this ever-changing world, the skill that you need to have is analytical thinking, creative thinking, resilience, flexibility, agility, motivation, self-awareness, curiosity, lifelong learning, and that's very important, technology literacy, dependability and attention to detail, empathy and active listening, leadership and social influence, quality control. Majority of those skills, we can associate them with cognitive level skills, self-efficacy skills, management skills, technological skills, working with others. Those are the skills that needs to be harnessed. And it's important that we know these things because sometimes we, just like the owner of the blockbuster company, we would go down and invest our time, our energy in skills that would not take us through to the fourth industrial revolution. And some persons can be righteously naive about it, some sense, and so to speak, and say that's not going to happen. But as we investigate further, we will see how much this is this is something that is coming, and is coming with a rapid pace. I read a publication from IDB, the Inter-American Development Bank, and the heading of this publication says, "Towards Education 4.0." So for you to be able to get a population that will harness the skills that are required for the change into the fourth industrial revolution, you must implement a hybrid model of education. You must try to change the education to a way that will be able to teach them about how and what is coming, and that's what this publication is about. And this publication I saw when I was doing investigation on the page called Compete Caribbean. And Compete Caribbean is made up of the Inter-American Development Bank, it's made up of the UK aid, it's made up of the Caribbean Development Bank, and it's made up of in partnership with Canada. And the idea is to help the Caribbean countries be more productive so that they could compete in the the environment that is being created by the fourth industrial revolution, which is a global environment, a global government, a global economic system, a global religious system, where we are moving into a global world, so to speak. Well, we already did in some sense, but they're taking the mantle to help develop the persons of the Caribbean and to help develop the policies of the Caribbean so that we could compete. That's why it's literally called Compete Caribbean. You can research all this if you want. And Compete Caribbean works with 13 countries across the Caribbean region. 13 countries. We have St. Lucia, we have St. Vincent, we have Grenada, we have all those countries work with Compete. Well, Compete Caribbean works with all those countries. And what they're saying is that in this sense, the transformation of the labor market does not necessarily entail a loss of jobs, providing that workers have the skills, and again, the skills that they discussed earlier in the fourth industrial revolution that was written on the website of the persons that are pushing the fourth industrial revolution, skills demanded by the labor market. And this is the key change to narrow the skill gap in the LAC, Latin America and Caribbean. There is currently a gap between what the labor market needs and what it finds. And this mismatch between supply and demand reflects a need to improve the alignment of education and training systems with a new labor market. Education systems must adapt to the needs of the fourth industrial revolution, 4IR. So this is a publication from the Inter-American Development Bank, which partners with a lot of our organizations, telling us we need to be able to, our education system needs to fit the needs of the fourth industrial revolution, strengthening development of the digital and socio-emotional skills that are key for the job of the present and future. That was written from the World Economic Forum in 2020. In this sense, Education 4.0 is conceived as a response to the needs of the 4IR, which is the fourth industrial revolution, where the human being and technology must be aligned to make way for new possibilities. So this is no longer ideas that we should stumble over and not look seriously in. And I tend to be sympathetic with individuals who, for some reason, they find change difficult to act upon and they live status quo. But sometimes we must be at this point that we are currently in, we must keep our eyes open. And we have done that many times as a Caribbean people. When change happens, decades after the change has been well implemented, we tend to act on it. After the cow has been milked, after the cow has given all its milk to the top 1%, to the top 5%, then we rush in to it's new to us. What is still to other people tends to become new to us because our thinking I want to use my words very clearly, and I want to not denigrate the idea, but our thinking in some sense tends to be conservatively bent to the negative, and we're conservative when things are traditional, but when things are innovative, we do not participate in that spirit of innovation, which is a conservative thing to do in some sense. And when I say conservative, I'm speaking to, because we are a highly religious institution, we're a highly religious country, and we do not want to lose our connection with the Most High and going into different things that will not benefit our souls, so to speak. But if we keep our eyes open, we would know where the bad lies, where the good lies, and where the ability to adjust happens. And this is one of the things that we want to bring forth. And this is one of the aims as Apex Strategy 4.0, our social enterprise consulting firm, which focus on development and transitioning into the fourth industrial revolution and still keeping your integrity as a human being and your relationship with the higher being. And this is what we bring in. This is our product to the market. But if you have a product to the market and no one understands what the fourth industrial revolution is and how much it has already implemented and settled itself down in our policies, it's like you're speaking to persons on one level and hearing something else on a different level. So we're going to continue having those discussions and bring into light things that are happening on a global level and ground it down into the national level. That's the idea of apex content. Also in this book, in this publication, it also said, how can we ensure that they do not widen, how can we ensure that they do not widen learning gaps in region with great inequalities in access to connectivity and technological devices? How can we prepare teachers to make effective use of technological tools and improve the quality of learning? How can we promote real change in ways of learning and teaching and better prepare the region's children and young people for the jobs of the future? And this is the end of our presentation on the fourth industrial revolution. There are some other key aspects that we glossed over, like inequalities and those ideas. The fourth industrial revolution. I'm going to end with this. The fourth industrial revolution is not just only an economic, it's not only a political change, it's not only an economic change, it's also a cultural shift. And culture is based on what you believe. And if you are going to shift what persons believe, you are going to shift things that are deeply ingrained in tradition. And this is a deeper form of the conversation. But it's a conversation that is worth having, and it's a conversation that is required for the development of the individuals and for the development of our state. So where we go, and looking forward to our next conversation, our next presentation.